right. Good morning to those of you on the East Coast. Good morning also to those of you on the West Coast. I'm your host, Brandon Choi, host and co creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited, and I'm joined by.
Jerome Bourgeois, co-creator, co-founder, Movers and Shakers Unlimited. How's everything, man? How's your week been?
Everything's good. It's been good. It's been busy. It's been a little hectic, but we're going to get into some of the reasons why it's been hectic. Um, but just to start us off, thanks for joining us on this episode of This Week in Review, the show in which you guys can uh, get caught up on some of the news bits that have made the rounds here in the industry. And as always, before we hop into some of the news stories that have made the rounds, we are going to get into some minutes. So just to start us off, just know that if you are watching the show live, that you can, obviously enjoy it live, but be a part of the conversation. Be a part of the conversation with TWnRMNSU. So that's This Week in Review, Movers and Shakers Unlimited. And you can also utilize that as well, if you're catching this as an archive episode. Now, also, you can also be a part of our group or our community by being a Patreon supporter. Put the link down below. We do have some cool perks in place if you do want to be a Patreon supporter. So just be mindful of that. Check us out at that link and see some of the perks that we have in place. And with that being said, I want to give a shout out to Joel Bourgeois for being a Patreon supporter. So with that out of the way,
Shout out, sis.
shout out. So with that out of the way, let's hop right into our stories. You don't have a whole bunch this week. It's going to be a little shorter show than you guys are perhaps accustomed to, but let's just dive in. The first story that we have involves Montley Crue. So over the course of this week, news dropped that they would be selling their catalog for 150 million. So just to give you, some more details, on that. As I said, they are selling it for 150 million, and I mean, there's some other caveats to that. I know in terms of like the figures, there've been some speculation of the accuracy of the value of their catalog. But from what I understand, according to the story that we cited this from, it goes into other details that or other caveats in terms of how that value may fluctuate, seeing that there is a upcoming tour, a long delayed tour, if you will, that may potentially raise the value of that catalog. So, Jerome, you hear this, and what are your thoughts on the band, this iconic band, selling their catalog?
Yeah. And also just want to thank you guys for joining us for our 41st episode.
41st.
Definitely appreciate the support. Yeah, I just thought the story was kind of interesting. Just showing the value of just of music assets. People talking about like having a company or maybe have a product, a service. That's one thing. Or and also with movies, there's obviously ownership there and there's benefits. But like with music, I mean, even though a lot of people can make can actually produce music a lot easier now and a lot faster and it's more accessible. It really shows if you have a really strong fan base and you've been in the game for a long time. I mean, your catalog, if you have a really quality, strong catalog, it's valuable. And, for $150 million is nothing to sneeze at. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I mean, compared to like some of the largest sales of catalogs, or just actually the valuation of certain catalogs, music catalogs for recording artists. I mean, obviously it's not in the same realm as like I was looking online. There's some, the top 5 ones were like John Lennon, Paul McCartney is estimated to be worth around 500 million. Michael Jackson's is around 375 million, but I think these numbers probably even higher. Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein at 350, and I'm looking at it says Bob Dylan around 325 mil. Well, that's pounds, 325 million pounds, and then Paul Simon at 250. So, of course, in relation to maybe some of these other artists, it's not this at the same level, but still $150 million. I mean, for any artist to get to that point where they could sell their catalog for that much money, I mean, that's pretty impressive. So that's pretty much a testament to the impact of Motley Crue. I was never like really into their music like that, or big, like the biggest fan. I would still have to listen to some more of their tracks, but just from a business standpoint regarding the music industry, I thought this was a significant story. And what's also interesting is BMG. I mean, they seem to be acquiring a lot of these rock band catalogs. I mean, they've also, according to this article in Variety, I mean, they've also, let's see, a lot of hard rock's elite ground. It says BMG currently represents or owns rights in many of hard rock's most elite and groundbreaking artists, including Black Sabbath, Dio, Iron Maiden, Motorhead, Scorpions, Uriah Heep. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. And many of the artists who reflect their legacy, including Godsmack, Slash, and was it Bring Me the Horizon? So it obviously looks like it's a pattern. Like they're trying to really, BMG's trying to. It looks like they're trying to, obviously have a huge market share in that genre, and it definitely pays off because if you own the publishing rights and you own the masters, or you just own the catalog to hit songs that continue to get played. You're licensed. These songs will get licensed to for movies, TV shows, sports broadcasts, video games. There's so many ways to make money from songs that are are mainstream enough, that are popular enough that people want to use them. And like the more valuable your brand, your catalog is, your brand and your fan base. And obviously they've sold over, was it Motley Crue says they've sold over like, I think over 100 million records over there.
Yeah.
I think it's like 100 million. Yeah, according to the article, I think it was like 100 million. They've sold over 100 million albums worldwide with 7 platinum and multi-platinum albums, 9 top 10 albums, 3 Grammy nominations, and star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, according to this article by Variety. So, it is what it is. So, what's interesting though, I don't know. I would say one last thing. What's kind of interesting is I'm not sure exactly what Motley Crue's deal was with their record label. So, who knows how much of the money they actually made from selling those 100 million albums worldwide. But if eventually they were able to, like I said, own their catalog or the masters, or just have the publishing rights, and now they could sell it, this is another way to reap the benefits later on. And it's also a testament to the type of deals you have to be cognizant about if you're a recording artist, that you don't want to just give everything away up front. Back in the day, a lot of people did that. They would sign a record deal, they just got they got their money up front. It's pretty much a loan, and then you would get a small percentage of every record sold, and maybe make more from touring. Now a lot of labels are trying to do these 360 deals where they get a cut of everything. But if you really are want to put the work in and be an entrepreneur and be like an independent artist, or have your own operation built, you could be like a Master P or Jay-Z, or there's a lot of people doing the independent route where they own most of their masters and their publishing, and they get a higher percentage of the sales. Maybe they don't sell as many records, but eventually, they could. So that's usually a way that you can, reap the benefits of all of your hard work and your actual, musical assets. That's what I would call them. But on the other hand, it's good to know that maybe if you didn't have that type of deal where you're getting like, 80%, 80-20 deal, like Cash Money and No Limit had, like you get 80% and the label gets 20% because it's like a distribution deal. It's good to know that even if you maybe had like a regular record deal or whatever, that maybe you could reap the benefits later. So, I just thought it was interesting. It's just good. It's good to know for like anyone who's a musician and trying to build their catalog, and just be like, hey, if you have a really valuable catalog, this is valuable. It's intellectual property. This is what makes you an artist. So.
Yeah,
don't sleep on making good music, or just making music that people love. So.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I guess I'll second some things that you said that were interesting, in that you have a band that has they've been around for quite some time, 40-year career. with, just as we, discussed before, non-studio albums, starting with their debut in 1981, with Too Fast for Love. It's just, insane to, think that, even over that course of time. I guess the thing that was surprising for me is just that, excuse me, was just that idea that I was picturing that, they had a higher value for what their what their catalog of music was, considering that, span of time. But, according to the story, as we said, hat tip to Variety is, it still may be a fluctuating a thing, because again, they do have a long delayed North American tour, which, when you have tours, a lot of times that, creates buzz and gets, the music back out there to the masses. And a lot of times when that happens, you'll see an uptick or an increased interest, in that catalog. So, perhaps it'll, actually raise that value, of the upcoming catalog. Because according to the story, it may that 150 million may have just been, like we were just discussing now, may have just been something that was paid up front versus, the overall, value or the overall payout of what they may receive when it's all said and done. But it's interesting too as well, because I know you were saying that you're not well versed with Motley Crue, and I apologize for not going into the details of that. When I started on this story. If you guys are not familiar with Motley Crue, I know, believe it or not, there may be some people who do not know who Motley Crue is. The few people who do not, it's a band that is made up of Nikki Sixx, of Mick Mars, of Vince Neil, and of course Tommy Lee. Tommy Lee is probably, maybe outside of maybe Nikki Sixx, is the person who is probably most recognizable, from that group. Not just for his like pop culture status in entertainment, but also being the other half of Pamela Anderson, and that couple, because I follow Pamela Anderson obviously through her time on Baywatch and many of the other projects that she did. So it's just and then on top of that too, there's a raised interest, or to say this is coming at an interesting time, in that I don't know if you're aware of this, Jerome. They actually have a they have a biopic with about Pamela
I think Machine
Anderson.
Gun Kelly's in it or something.
Yeah, with Pamela Anderson, about Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee and their relationship, where they actually have an MCU alum. They have Sebastian Stan playing Tommy Lee. So like right now, it seems like there's kind of like a resurgence of sorts with, not just interests of folks that are, a part of this band, but just of, that band in general. So no, it's really interesting. Like I said, there are a lot of interesting parts to it. Like I said, the big takeaway for me that was surprising is just the 150 million. Because I was like, they've been around, and done so much music. I would have pictured that it would have been more. But again, you have that caveat of, them still having the upcoming delayed tour, which from my understanding, according to the story, is happening next summer. So that may very well raise the value of it to far beyond 150 million. So any final thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, but I mean, you also got to remember, it's not always about just what the value or what you think the value is or whatever. It's also, what they negotiated too. I mean, and maybe, I don't know, maybe they want the money. Some people, they don't sell it yet because they're fine with how much money they have, and they're like, no, I know it's valuable. I want to give it to my kids or whoever. So you never know. I mean, why does Nicolas Cage do so many movies like every time? I mean, what was it reported that because he had tax issues or something? I mean, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, Johnny Depp, same thing. Some people, they do things because they're like, they need the money or whatever. You never know. They could. We don't always know the real situation, but no. I mean, hey, I'm not gonna. Like, I still wouldn't sneeze on 150 million. I mean, that's even after paying your manager, and I mean, if you divide it up amongst all the band members, I mean, that's still a significant amount of money. But yeah, I mean, we're not saying it's in the same realm of like Michael Jackson or Paul McCartney or, some of these other artists. But yeah, it's also, it's also what they negotiate. So it is what it is.
All right, cool beans.
But yeah,
So,
that's good.
switching to our next story, it involves Oscar-winning actress Halle Berry. Over the course of this week, it was revealed that she actually has a multi-picture deal with Netflix. So, to go into more details about that, and it's a hat tip to Deadline for this story. She, as I said, entered into a new partnership with Netflix, which will see her, to continue and star and produce films for the streamer. And it's not surprising because she recently had a project that dropped on Netflix known as Bruised. And if you're not aware, according to this story, Bruised landed the streamer's first number one. It landed the streamer's number one film of the week slot in the U.S. and has charted number 2 on the top 10 global English film list. Now, the film release, and I believe I'm trying to pinpoint the actual date. I'll have that in a moment. But Jerome, you hear this, and I know we commonly talk about how the streaming war has continued to be a thing, especially now in this era of the pandemic that we're currently in. And what are your thoughts in terms of that idea of having pulling in talent in order to continue to generate content and continue to have content at the ready?
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was definitely an interesting story too, because yeah, I mean, specifically because it's Netflix, and I was going to say, you know, and this idea that you have these big stars, like you were just saying, signing these deals, and then becoming successful based on the viewership of this movie, and then now she's getting another deal. It's like this has become the new box office, really, because you put something on Netflix,
right?
I mean, it's global, and it's like it usually would be like, hey, you had a movie, had a big box office debut, it made a lot of money. Okay, we're gonna do the sequel. Like the next week you might hear, or 2 weeks later, be like, okay, we're gonna do a sequel to this. Or now they got that star or that director or whoever, they signed a new deal because of the success. Netflix has their own metrics now. I guess they're sort of releasing the specifics or whatever, however they measure these films and TV shows and miniseries that they release, and to show the viewership, and they're signing deals based off of this. So obviously that movie did really well. I mean, it said it was according to Deadline, St. Bruce hit, like you were saying, it hit number 1 in a total of 21 countries and was watched for 47.7 million hours in its first 5 days. So this is 1 week after it was released, so on Netflix. So it's pretty recent. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty incredible. And this is her directorial debut. So I think that's pretty amazing, because I mean, I don't think that would probably happen maybe for a film like that if it wasn't on a big streamer like Netflix. And it's good to see that Halle Berry's getting, she's getting a deal like this too, because I mean, not that many women of color, that were actresses originally, get deals like this. So we're seeing more of these, so that's good. And like someone that with her status or whatever, you would think that she would have gotten a deal like this before, but it also shows it's also about the show, or the type of project that you have and how well it does, regardless of your status. I mean, she's won an Academy Award. She was the first African American female to win Best Actress, and I mean, that was obviously history made. But just because you win that doesn't mean necessarily all your projects after that, I guess, might be successful enough to maybe get this type of deal. Even though she obviously was in big movies like the X-Men franchise, and she was in the latest John Wick film. But it's yeah, I mean, I think it was great that this happened. But once again, one thing that really stood out for me was the idea that this was this is like the new normal now, getting a deal on Netflix, and then if your movie does well, then it's like, all right, now you're gonna have a multi-picture deal or whatever type of deal you might want to sign, if it's with series or TV shows or whatever it may be. So
Well, I'll take it a step further. It seems more like, even more so than Netflix, just that idea of, let me see, of if I'm picturing, just that idea of having streamers that are just as I said, grabbing talent, whether it's creative talent, whether it's talent in front of the camera. It seems like it's even outside of Netflix, just streamers in general. Like, just that idea, it kind of reminds me of, if I'm picturing, the world of sports, how you have all of these teams, the teams in this case being the streamers, and them trying to lock down talent, or in the case of sports, locking down their athletes, for these long-term deals, because they want to secure having consistent excellence over extended period of time, instead of falling off and kind of falling to the wayside amongst their competitors. I mean, that's something that's been really interesting with the streaming thing, and this trend that we've been seeing, just like you were just saying, of having so many of these stories of talent being generating these long-term deals, because if you're able to secure this talent for this period of time, then as I said, that allows you to still remain relevant in this streamer war. um but any
yeah,
other
oh yeah. I mean, I agree, and I understand what you're saying. I'm not saying they're the only ones who do it, but I think Netflix really led this because the types of deals they're giving people, like they're outbidding, they outbid most of their competitors. So it's like the other tech companies who got into the game, now they're kind of competing. Like obviously Apple, Amazon. I mean, you always had your HBOs and Showtime, but I feel like even with those, they don't always give the type of money that would attract all these this type of talent. And not only that, I've noticed with Netflix, they're giving deals to some actors that like I wouldn't have even thought of would have had a deal anywhere else. But then because Netflix is spending so much money on different types of films and stuff, like not only are they competing with like movies or TV shows or a miniseries, or they're also competing with documentaries, reality shows. Now they're pretty much competing with the Hallmark Channel or Lifetime Channel. Like there's all these Christmas movies or whatever. I'm like seeing people. I'm like, wow, I don't even remember this person, you know, being in a movie. I don't remember the last time they were in a movie, and it's like, oh wow, you're in like 3 movies on Netflix. But Netflix is trying to compete in all those areas. I don't see any other streamer really trying to compete in all those areas, throwing money at everything. I mean, you have like HBO. They focus on a certain type of content. I mean, it's like I don't see reality shows on HBO. If there is one, I mean, the closest would be like The Shop, but that's not really a reality show. It's like an interview type of show with celebrity, LeBron James, and he gets famous people on there. They're just talking, but maybe on, and even with Amazon or Apple. I mean, Apple maybe. I mean, Apple, they're doing a lot of narrative stuff and they have documentaries. But I just feel like Netflix overall, they're putting money in every different like category, genre, because they just want to compete with everything, and internationally too. And I'm not saying the other ones aren't going to follow suit. Like, I mean, you do see with HBO Max, they kind of combine stuff with HBO, and now they have stuff for HBO Max, and they have the Warner Brothers stuff. So they're all trying to head in that direction. I just felt like Netflix was like led the charge, and because I'm seeing these, you see some of these deals and you're like, wow, a lot of these big stars are specifically going, a lot of them were specifically going to Netflix. And because that was happening, now you see some of the other competitors, following suit, and now it's a little bit better, because they kind of held their own. I almost feel like this goes back to like Will Smith when he, after Suicide Squad, and then he did Bright for Netflix. And the only reason why, I'm sure one of the main reasons he did that is because Netflix could pay his, he obviously probably liked the project, and working with David Ayer again, but Netflix could actually pay his quote, and, the other studios couldn't compete. So now like you're getting other people trying to compete, and it's just fun to watch, because you're like, wow, a movie that you're seeing on your TV screen is now, or any type of project now, it's like in comparison to anything that is supposed to be in, in theaters. and that's just really interesting to see. And it's like I said, the viewership numbers, however their metrics of measuring who's watching these shows or these movies and these projects, this content on Netflix, it's like that's the new box office. That's determining now if you should get another deal, if you should be able to do more projects for this streamer, or just if you're in demand now, because people are watching your stuff. You're making you're definitely making an impact, and people want to see more of you. So that's all I really was getting at. But I'm glad that Halle Berry's getting the deal, and it's interesting that she's directing now. So that's cool. You're starting to see a lot of actors as they move on later in their career, they start transitioning into directing, and it's pretty cool seeing that. So I definitely take my hat off to her.
For sure. And hopping into our final story, you probably see it in the headline, is that we had a small little film that actually was had an opportunity for you to buy early tickets for, and that's none other than Spider-Man: No Way Home. So according to the story, when tickets dropped, it ended up crashing many of the sites. I know even towards the end of this week, that was something that I was dealing with. It didn't crash, mind you, but just figuring out like logistics of getting tickets for this film. So Jerome, I know we were like right in the midst of that over the course of this week. What are your thoughts on that info? Not shocking.
Yeah, definitely not shocking at all. Hey, you know what it is? I think it's great for the box office. People are going back to movie theaters. Anything can happen because obviously you had the Delta variant, now you have Omicron. But you know what? It seems like it's not really bothering people. I mean, hey, some people probably aren't going to come out. Who knows? But this is definitely inspiring and for like I said, for the box office. For movie theaters, exhibition industry, because some people were thinking movie theaters were going to just die out, and no, people have that craving to go back to the movies, see something that they really want to see on the big screen. And Spider-Man: No Way Home, I mean, if there was a movie, if there ever was a film coming out now that you want to see in theaters, it's going to be that. And I would say probably The Matrix Resurrections. And also with Spider-Man: No Way Home not being on a streamer, it's like you kind of forced to go see it at theaters if you really want to see it the opening weekend. What I thought was really cool though too is I got my ticket, even though what's it called, like the 7:00 one, that one was like delayed, but I got the what was I gonna say? I got the later showtime, but they also, AMC was giving out what's it called, NFTs for AMC A-list members. So that was pretty cool. Non-fungible tokens. Pretty much, you could say they're like it's like a digital collector's item, or any type of art form that later on. I mean, if there's a limited amount of these, I mean, there definitely could be some value there. So I thought that was cool. I'll see what they hand out, but I'm definitely excited to see the film and see how that is regarding the NFT that they're giving out. But also, I mean, this is really a testament to if you have a film or a brand that people really want to see in theaters, like they're gonna go see it. And when it's time to go back to theaters and actually, when it's safer, when it was safer to go back to theaters, and now, like I said, it's pretty safe relatively, but I guess it depends on, your vaccination status, or if you have, how comfortable you feel. So, I mean, that's up to every consumer, but the people who really want to go and they feel like they want to go out, they're going to come out to see a movie like Spider-Man: No Way Home. And I think it's great. And, I'm going to be there. And I wasn't surprised that it beat Black Widow's record, because this is definitely a movie that Spider-Man is definitely a household name. So I'm definitely excited to see it, and I know you are too, Brandon. But definitely, yeah, it just shows. I mean, we're getting closer, to the new normal, or getting back to normal as pre-pandemic days. And like I said, the movie theater is definitely a part of that experience that I definitely missed a lot. So it's good seeing these movies come out and having that experience again, and just seeing people, having just experiencing it with your friends and family, and just getting excited again. It just doesn't beat, like nothing really beats being in the theater. That's the way I look at it. It's like, you can watch stuff on your TV, of course, but when you see a certain movie in theaters, it's going to be, it's an experience in itself. And this is definitely going to help the box office. Now, the thing is, it's not completely, we don't completely know if it's going to, maybe beat some of the numbers that you see for previous films, because like in the article, what the article was saying in Variety, how they were talking about how there have been other, instances where maybe a movie sold out in pre-sales, but doesn't mean the numbers were as big as that, or maybe it doesn't mean that they surpassed like other films that maybe didn't beat that record. Some examples of that were, I think it was like, according to this article, I think it was like Fast and Furious. Oh yeah, well it was. Well, I think even No Time. Was it No Time to No Time to Die? And what you're really seeing is like the hardcore fans who want to go. They're gonna actually buy the tickets in advance. But depending on who like really wants to come out, it's gonna, that's gonna determine what the opening box office is for that weekend. Another thing I would say is, also because of the pandemic still, and the limited seating and how many people can actually be in the theater, if it's capacity issues or however, people are spread out. Some people want to get their ticket and actually have a seat that's, obviously with their family, but also spread out, so that's not like they're bunched up with other people. Even though I think that's still hilarious, because I'm like, if you're gonna go to the theaters, you're gonna go to the theaters. There's a lot of people there anyway, so I mean, it's gonna be. I mean, that's kind of what you're expecting when you go in there, but it's also, it's gonna be interesting just to see what the numbers are, because there's I mean, this is a big movie, but these are definitely the hardcore fans buying those tickets ahead of time. So yeah, we'll definitely see what happens, and I'm definitely excited when it comes out. I mean, it's coming out soon, and but yeah, that's pretty much regarding that story. But I know Brandon, you had some thoughts on that, but I think we actually Brandon, we might have lost Brandon for a little bit, but we'll get him back. But yeah, I mean, definitely let us know if there's any other any feedback you guys have regarding that, or if you guys have any other stories that you guys want us to talk about. But yeah, I mean, if you guys want to definitely see, learn more about, if you definitely want to learn more about, our channel and hear more Movers and Shakers content, definitely go to moversshakersunlimited.com. On YouTube, you can also go to our Instagram at Movers Shakers Unlimited. On Facebook and Twitter's Move and Shake UNLTD. Go to patreon.com, Movers Shakers Unlimited, if you want to support us there. And also there is, you could like, follow, share, and just like I said, leave comments and let us know more about what's what stories you guys want us to talk about or share, and just feedback. And like I said, you can leave comments. We always like hearing comments. And I think yeah, if we hear back. But anyway, yeah, definitely just let us know. And I know next week we're gonna take a slight break, but we're gonna have a special guest on there. Brandon will talk about that more when we get him back. But yeah, definitely let us know what you guys definitely want to hear about, and stories that you guys like us talking about, and we will try to add them to our roster of stories. So All right. Well, until Brandon comes back, I'll say thanks for watching, and we appreciate the support. And until next time, and happy holidays.